Hey film fans, welcome to Decentralized Pictures Talent Cast, and on today's show we have director Matt Sheldon. Let's get after it. Big welcome to Matt Sheldon, writer, director, producer for The Electricity in Me, and recipient for the Screenplay Grant Assistance Award. So thanks again, Matt, for being here.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so before we dive into your project, The Electricity in Me, let's learn a little bit more about you. So tell us about your background, kind of what got you into film, and some of the other projects that you've worked on.
Yeah, I mean, film is, what else is there, right? I mean, film is a long-lasting passion that it's always been the thing. It's always been the juice. It's always been the thing that can reset a bad week. It's always been the thing that can help me find something about myself, good and ugly. It's always been the thing that that I have wanted to do and have decided that I have to do. And there have been times where I thought, I wish I could switch it off. I wish I could just not just think, this is not easy. Telling stories that I care about in a way, in a manner of execution that I care about is it's a blessing and a curse. But it's a good curse, right? Because this is all I've ever wanted to do. I've made short films pretty much for 20-25 years. I definitely want to make longer format films on a bigger canvas. But ever since I was a kid and reading a specific book actually about how The Empire Strikes Back was made, I guess just started the journey. But just going to the cinema is just it's my church, right? This is where everything comes out. So made my own shorts, made shorts at university, made one short at the beginning where I poured everything into it, and every penny that I could find from anyone who'd give me any money did okay. But there was that thing about execution not matching the vision, and the execution was fine, but it didn't quite match up. And I think that's the thing. It's an iterative process, storytelling, and finding the truth and burnishing and honing the truth is something. I think it's something it's a process you've just got to work at. And that's how I'm here. That's why I'm here talking to you. That's how I've ended up with making a monologue film about something that means a lot to me. Is that there's a compulsion to tell stories, and I guess that's why I'm a filmmaker.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Matt, for that intro, and obviously a lot of experience there, a lot of things that you've done, and you're making something very meaningful right now. So we're going to dive into The Electricity in Me. And before we do that, I want to show the audience a little clip of some of the footage that you've already taken. So The Electricity in Me.
When he was 1, I knew that all I wanted was to never be seen again until I found a way to bring the tiniest bit of him back, even though I said I would not look for him on that piece of paper I signed. I knew that was another lie, as there is a whisper that keeps me awake at night when the city is dead, and pierces my day when I'm staring at my typewriter, and one day it will find my boy and wire us together. And he will hold me cancelling out the tumours. And he will tell me. He knows why I did what I did.
Okay, so Matt, so we just watched some footage from The Electricity in Me, and obviously a very powerful picture that you're making here, and a personal story, actually your personal story. So kind of walk us through what this story means to you. What was the impetus? What was the driver, and what compelled you to bring this story to life?
Yeah, I mean, it's a story that I wanted to tell for a long time. I'm an adopted kid who never knew my birth mother. It's someone who I never met, and actually was actually comfortable in not knowing for a long, long time. I kind of, growing up as a kid, it was kind of, I kind of knew that there was this other part of my family history that that was part of me, that was part of my identity, but was something that I couldn't really uncover. I didn't really know how to uncover it. And I was shown a picture of my birth mother's face. Her name's Joan. She's from Canada, and she had given me up as a newborn, and we never met. And she died from breast cancer when I was 17, and she was 37. And I saw this picture of her when I was 14, and I didn't look at that picture again for 20 years. I kind of couldn't process, who is this person who is a complete stranger, who in theory means everything to me. Now, 20 years plus later, now I know who this person is through the discovery of finding her sisters in Canada, through social media, and more pertinently, reading her diaries. So I have years and years of her diaries and her letters, and her writings right up until her last days in hospital. She came to Canada. She came from Canada to London when she was 21. She was pregnant by her professor, who was nearly 30 years older than her. And through the eyes of, through modern eyes, we know that would have been a deeply inappropriate relationship. So there's all this complex backstory, but I just couldn't figure out how to tell a story, particularly in a short, because a short, you just got such a limited window to connect the audience to a moment of truth. You just got such a short time to find a moment that means something for the audience. But I've also wanted to tell her story at the same time. And that's how we arrived at a monologue, and telling the story and using actual excerpts from the diary, which are put on the screen. But balancing those elements plus Canada and making it a period film, it should have been really simple, but actually took us a very long time to figure out. We did 31 versions of the edit and it took us 6 months, and it's an extremely simple film. And when the audience see it, they think, wow, this guy is really slow in his post-production. But it just takes time to find that balance. I heard, I don't know if this is true, but I think this is true. I've decided this is true, that Damien Chazelle asked for his composer to write that particular theme tune that's in La La Land. I think his composer did 25 versions of that before he was happy. So now I'm not saying I'm competing with Damien Chazelle here, but getting balance, getting the elements to fit takes time. And I guess, it's personal material. So, I'm kind of processing a few different layers at the same time. I'm processing it as a filmmaker. I'm processing should I say this? Am I saying too much? Am I saying too little? Is there too much exposition? Am I being mysterious enough? Is it interesting? Is it engaging? So that, there was definitely a dark night of the soul, but we're pretty happy where we ended up.
Great. Appreciate those details. So you've received the rent assistance grant,
Yep.
to help with this project. So how has that award, that funding, helped move the project along?
Yeah. No, it's a great question because, winning the award was a big deal, actually a really big deal. The money is great, the funding to help keep a roof over our head. That is, of course, it would be churlish for me to say that wasn't relevant. But the process of what people had to say about the project through winning the award, that kind of was the gold dust, that structure that DCP provided, and I got a set of comments from people who are motivated to watch my film and go, I like this. You know what? But what about that? And I responded to this, and I didn't respond to that. And it was really, really, to use an overused word, it was really authentic. It was really truthful. It was really honest. And that kind of made me think, do you know what? This story, I believe, needs another life, and should have another life. And whilst absolutely 11 months ago when we shot it, it was just going to be a short, and that was it. And it was a passion project, and that was it. But the DCP award process has definitely been a critical step along the way for me to even consider that it should be something else, and be possibly a precursor to a bigger project.
Great. Well, that's definitely the idea. Posting these having these competitions for these awards to help
100%.
cinema be created in new and innovative ways. So, let's talk about the rest of your supporting team, the production team. Who else is working with you to bring this picture to life, and have you worked with them before?
Yeah. No. So yes and no. One of the team members I'd worked with once, and she had a fairly junior role on another project. But essentially, I kind of felt that I realised, in true independent filmmaking style, that I was going to have to build the thing myself. A bit of a field of dreams moment, that if you kind of start with your passion and your words and your writing, and actually I kind of think that's the only power we've actually got as independent filmmakers is what we write and what we want to say, and then we added team members as we went. So we started off with a producer, and she hadn't produced before, and then a runner who hadn't been a runner before, and then we added some extremely amazingly talented people, who I hadn't worked with, but I'd been wanting to work with for a long time, including an Emmy-nominated production designer who worked on Gladiator and recent Alien films, with Ridley Scott, a costume designer who'd worked on with Kanye West's fashion brand, an incredibly artistic makeup designer, composer who worked on Arrival with Johan Johansson, an amazing team, a director of photography who I'm certain is going to be a very big deal very soon. But the key to all that was the actor, and the actor I'd been tracking for a while, Laura, who does not look like my mother, but she had the soul of everything I wanted to say. And I think with Laura's commitment and Laura signing up, I think that kind of, I always felt that the start is the script, and that the script attracts the actor, the writing, and then the actor. If the actor is well cast and correctly cast, it becomes a lot easier to build an amazing team around that core storytelling nexus. And we never all worked together as a team once, and we only had one day in the studio together, and it was a period location, and then so we all came together for one day for about 10 hours. But I think the thing I learned is if people, story. If people get the story, if people get the truth, if people get what you're trying to do, and everyone understands. I had this great quote from Scorsese the other day who said, one of the most important things is you've got to hire people who all agree on the film that you are making. I just thought that was a great quote. This is so true for this project. I kind of think for the first time, everyone in the room it felt like we'd been shooting a feature. We just worked 6 weeks together, and this was our last day. But this was our first day, and it was just a special moment. But it started with that actor, with Laura, who is a huge deal. Rada trained, was in Ben Wheatley's In the Earth last year, which was a Sundance premiere. And it was an amazing time, really, and it was just one day, which is why I want to do it again, right?
No, that's awesome. Appreciate those details. So, yeah, so you've got the screenplay in place. You've shot some footage. I know we had a little dialogue that maybe you want to expand on the screenplay, make it a feature length, in duration. Yep. So yep. What are the next steps, and what's the ultimate outcome that you desire with this project?
Yeah, I mean, so I've just spent the last 6 weeks writing an outline. It's like 1,000-word outline, and that doesn't sound like a lot. It's 2 pages, but it's an outline for a feature. But it's figuring out tone and mood and all that stuff. But really, what is the story we're going to tell? And this story essentially is an alternative history to what my birth mother went through. So she died when she was 37. This kind of says, if we gave her more time, what would she have done with her life? Now, I think she would have come and found me. She would have challenged the guy that got her pregnant. She would have probably continued fighting with her partner. She would have she would have lived life, and that's what the feature's about. So we just see this as an opportunity to tell a bigger story, actually, really, and to rewrite her history and my history. And key next step is write the script. So we have an outline, and we have do I have a beginning, a middle, and an ending? I have 3 acts. I have an epilogue. I have a prologue. I have a structure, and I did not have that 6 months ago. I didn't have that 3 months ago. So I feel pretty good that we've figured it out. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like we've got, once you've got some momentum, it kind of builds confidence. I'm not saying there's not going to be some dark nights on the way, right?
Sure,
but there's going to be, without torturing the metaphor, there's going to be some good mornings as well.
Absolutely. Well stated. So it sounds like you're well on your way. You've got a energized, aligned team.
Yep.
So it'll be fun to watch what unfolds over the coming months. So we're gonna change gears a little bit here and talk about Decentralized Pictures. So, its core ethos, it's a nonprofit organization based on idea that artistic talents can be discovered in new and innovative ways, and in ways that differ from the traditional top-down centralized Hollywood model. So in your own words, what you've experienced so far with Decentralized Pictures, what does this platform mean to you, and what are its possibilities?
Yeah, I think DCP is doing something it's kind of blowing up the blowing up the world, right? You know, the film world, in a way that to even have sort of the kind of access to and conversations that we've been having with people like with Leo and the team, and the filmmakers who are part of the community, is a different experience for me. And you know, people are unnervingly passionate in the community in a good way. And you know, people really feel this stuff. And there's a lot of energy on the Discord chat. There's a lot of energy in the reviews. There's a lot of power in the reviews, and not all the reviews are good. In terms of the processing of how people are reacting to each other's projects, but really, DCP's power is about figuring out how do we connect filmmakers to audiences in a different way. How do we connect filmmakers to audiences in an emotional way? How do we give monetary value to what is being created? You know, I just thought it was really interesting, this point about the recent discussion about pulp fiction and NFTs, and why that was an interesting debate. And I'm not going to comment on the outcome of that issue, but it was a bit like, why do people want to own a piece of that film? And that's the interesting thing to me. And I think we want to own a piece of a film. We want to feel connected to film because we want to feel connected to story. We want to feel connected to emotion. We want to have a connection with humanity. That's why we tell stories, and that's why we invest ourselves in stories. And I think that is the special sauce that Decentralized Pictures is developing, I believe. I mean, that's you know, I think if you ask this question to 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers in a good way.
Right. No, that's a good perspective, and I share a lot of those opinions, and you know, and it's a perfect parlay into, you know, what Decentralized Pictures is doing and how unique it is, and how that fits in with the new Film 3 universe. You know, I started reading about Web 3, you know, many months ago, and then discovered Decentralized Pictures a few months after that, and just, you know, this new world and new set of possibilities that exist. And it's interesting to have conversations with folks about, okay, this whole, just call it the new 3 world, and is there relevance here? Is there real possibilities here? And I think of what you just said, that, you know, everything from blockchain powered projects to NFTs, and you know, breaking down the top down centralized model to a more horizontal decentralized model, that there's real opportunities to capture here.
100%.
Yeah. So it'll be exciting to see where the future takes us. So it's an exciting time to be in this space, no doubt.
Absolutely.
So all right. So now to the fun part of the show, and this is real quick. This is the speed round. So I'm just gonna throw out just a few terms, and just don't overthink it, and just throw back at me the first word or two that comes to your mind.
Okay, go for it.
George Lucas.
Escape.
Cryptocurrency.
Power.
Screenplay writing.
Hard and fun.
Fair. Costume design.
The soul of a character.
Set lighting.
The soul of a space.
All right, now I got to capitalize on where you live. Fish and chips.
Dinner.
Sounds pretty good tonight.
Yeah.
United Kingdom weather.
Inscrutable.
Love it. And finally, Decentralized Pictures.
The future.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So awesome stuff. Matt, thank you so much for being here. Writer, director, producer for The Electricity in Me. Can't wait to see the what's going to happen, the future of this project, and the other stuff that you're working on. So thanks again for being here today.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
You bet. Take care.